Welcome to Learning Bites. We're looking at fruit trees. Why fruit trees? Because they are an amazing example of how we live our lives. In that what you plant, you harvest. And the more you look after what you've planted, the greater that harvest has the potential of being. This came home to me really clearly on a visit up to Gisborne when we were working with some clients. We've got a couple of apple trees and fruit trees in our garden, and they're pretty good with the amount of fruit they give. But I was blown away when we went up to Gisborne and saw an apple orchard that had more apples on a single branch than there was on our entire tree. Likewise, their nectarines and their lemons and their avocado pears. Each branch had more fruit on it than our entire trees did, as a comparison. And it was an excellent analogy for me. Our trees have the potential of being that fruitful. But we, first of all, have to realize that, and then we've got to create the conditions for them to be that fruitful and to nurture them to be that fruitful. And that very much is like our lives. We all have an incredible, innate amount of potential inside of us. But we've got to give ourselves permission to actually be all we can be. We have to allow ourselves to dream big enough to aspire to being as fruitful as we can be. And to do that, we need to be able to look after ourselves, to nurture ourselves, to give ourselves the environment that's going to make us be that fruitful. How fruitful are you in your life? How fruitful could you be? A challenge for you, and one that I found really useful, is to think about what would it take to 10x your life. There's a great book that's called 10x is easier than 2x. So 10 times is easier than 2 times. Well worth the read. But the challenge inside of that is to look at, if you were to be 10 times more fruitful, what would need to change? What would that look like, and what would you have to do completely differently? What would you have to start? What would you have to stop? It can be really useful to know yourself incredibly well. What are your natural strengths and innate talents? When you're clear on what you can bring and what you need in order to be fruitful, you can then start to talk to the people in your life and look at what you've structured in your daily environment to help you be as productive as possible. How fruitful do you want to be in your life? I encourage you to really think about that, to put some steps in place, and to take some action. Here's to your success. Thanks so much for watching. If any of this resonated and you'd like to reach out, feel free to give me a call on 0272 987 523 or email me at mike@thinkrite.co.nz. Or if you would like some additional resources, go to our website www.thinkrite.co.nz.